Welcome to AI Rounds, your weekly dose of AI in medicine and education.
We are your hosts, Dr. Núria
and Dr. Morgan Leaf. Each week, we'll bring you a quick dive into the latest in artificial intelligence and how it's transforming healthcare, medical education, and medical communications.
From the tools changing how we teach, learn, and write, to breakthroughs shaping patient care. If it's new, exciting, or just plain useful, we're talking about it.
In just 10 to 15 minutes, we'll get you up to speed and maybe even spark your next big idea.
Let's make the rounds.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 6. We are just a couple weeks back from the AMWA annual conference, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Hi, Núria.
Hi, Morgan. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Recovered from all the conferencing.
Yeah, and so Núria went to 3 conferences in a row. Shortly before that, she had also gone to multiple conferences, but the most recent 3, AMWA was the middle conference that she went to.
Mhm.
So it was great to see all our fellow medical and scientific writers down in Phoenix. And Núria, you gave a couple of talks about AI at the conference. Tell us what you talked about.
Yeah, so I did a talk with Mario Morel and Jenny Pickett on AI safety. And we talked about critical safety considerations to have about AI. And then Mario talked about specific considerations for publications. Jenny talked about specific considerations for regulatory writing. And I talked about safety and security in continuing medical education. So each a little bit for everyone at AMWA. It was super well attended, super well received. People really enjoyed it, I think. The key thing that I was drilling down for everyone is protect your inputs and validate your outputs. So this is my new key phrase now is protect your inputs and validate your outputs. People even texted me later saying, oh, I'll always remember protect your inputs and validate your outputs.
You might need to copyright that, Núria.
You know? So that was super cool. There were lots of AI sessions at AMWA. I went to quite a few. I enjoyed all of them. The first session that I went to, I think it was one of the first sessions at the conference. There were 4 panelists, and they were discussing safe ways as well to integrate AI into their workflows. And one thing that I thought was really important that a few different people said, Jenny also mentioned this, is that ideally you want an AI system where you can see the changes. So it has track changes type of feature like Word has, and that you can accept or reject those changes. And I was like, yes, that would be so ideal. I really wish I had, because I think they're developing those types of systems for regulatory writers. And I just wish they were developing it for all of us, So that made me reconsider my idea of not looking at these other companies that develop more niche tools. I want to go see what is out there for scientific writing and see if there are more of these tools that do the track changes. What about you? What did you enjoy about the conference? We did a session together that I'm going to let you talk about.
Okay, yes, we did a session together which was not about AI, although AI did come up because I think it comes up in every session. But we did a session together where we talked about developing good relationships between freelancers, and specifically this was a CME talk. So we were talking about medical education companies or medical education clients, associations, things like that. And that was a panel with Janet Manfrey, and that was a lot of fun. We had a good group in the room, a lot of participation, and we hit on a lot of different hot topics. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed your talk with Mario and Jenny, especially because when I go to AMWA, I tend to stick to the CME talks, right? So I don't hear much about publications or regulatory writing. So it was kind of eye-opening to hear things from other people's perspectives. That was really enjoyable. And listen, what is this, 3 years in a row now that AI has been kind of the buzz that everybody's talking about, both at AMWA and the Alliance conference that you and I both attend. I have some thoughts on this, but you tell me first, what did you think? Were there any new topics that people were asking about or talking about in AI this year?
Not really. Wait, so the safety thing was really needed and really well received because we don't hear a lot about how to work safely with AI. So that was new. It feels a little bit of a cheat because that is what I did. What I found surprising was some of the examples of that people were giving about how AI wasn't doing what they wanted it to do. When
Hmm.
they described their process, I was like, it's never going to do what you want it to do if you're doing it like that. And I was a little bit like, the message is obviously we need more education, more just that, like basic AI literacy education, because people are still not grounding. So, grounding is when you bring all the sources and you tell the AI to write based on those sources. They're still not grounding and then expecting it to create a good product. And I mean, we've been talking about retrieval augmented generation, RAG, or grounding for like more than a year now. So I found that interesting that I felt like I live in this bubble where everyone knows about this, but maybe not everyone else is in the bubble with me.
I totally agree. And what I was actually going to say, which is related to this, is I was shocked at how many people are still this many years later like, I don't use AI. Maybe I should learn how to use that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is here to stay. It's been here to stay for years. You're pretty behind at this point if you still have your head in the sand. And of course, I think that some people look at the fact that there are still challenges with integration as a reason to throw the whole thing out, which is silly. And certainly there's people who just don't like change. And so they're still not ready for it yet. It's that adoption curve, right? The early adopters and then the majority. And then I think the late adopters are still holding out at this point. But I was surprised at how many people weren't even kind of putting forth the effort to learn about it. Not a lot of people, but even that there were still some was surprising to me. And I really liked I mentioned this a little bit in the last episode, but I really appreciated the discussion we had during one of the CME talks about, because I have seen this more over the past year, clients who say, you can't use AI in
Mhm.
your writing for us. And just how that really lacks forethought, and how do we deal with that as medical writers?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I do not like when clients say that. One is what you mentioned in the previous episode, that like legally they cannot tell us how to do our job. They are hiring us to produce a product, and because we are independent contractors, they're not supposed to tell us how to get there. The same way that I don't tell my plumber which tool to use to fix my plumbing, they cannot tell me which tool to use to write. Having said that, Haifa did point out that like some of them are under pressure as well, because they get some supporters say that they will not fund anything if the grant proposal or the needs assessment was written with AI, to which I question, how do they know? But that's a different story. But what I found interesting, there were a couple of people in the audience at the session. This was the session by Dawn and Stephanie,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And there were a couple of people in the audience that actually represent the people that hire us to write CME content. And they were saying that their company has this general rule that contractors cannot use AI, but that then they talk to their contractors and they say, you can use it for this or you can use it for that, which I think is generally how it's gone with my clients. The client
Yeah.
sends me a contract saying you cannot use AI, and then I talk to them and they're like, yeah, you can use it for this and this. You need to make sure that you do this and this and this. The problem I have with that is that the contract still says that I cannot use it,
Yeah.
which means that all of the risk is now mine,
Yeah.
right? They can say, if I do use AI, they can say it's a violation of the contract. And if something ever comes up, that is my risk, and I don't feel comfortable with that. I would much rather have an understanding that is contractually agreed between both of us, where it is understood that I will use AI responsibly, and we can even write out what we think responsibly is. But a total ban, or a ban and then a wink wink, you can use it, I really am not comfortable with the current situation.
I totally agree with you. And I forget who suggested it during one of those sessions, but somebody suggested we as writers create our own AI policies and share them with our clients. And that's something I definitely want to do going forward, I think, because I want to be transparent with folks and also dispel these sort of ideas that all AI use is bad. Because the thing is, if you aren't using AI in a responsible way, you're getting an inferior product. Like, there's no way around that at this point. We cannot pretend that we as human writers can make something on our own as good as we can with the assistance of AI. The technology has come that far. AI is always making what we do better. So if you're a client and you are not using AI in a responsible manner, your products aren't going to be as good as your competitors. So we all need to sort of work together about how to make that happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that what you just said there is key, right? Is that what we want is the best product that we can produce. And if AI helps take a product that was very good to excellent, then why are we not using AI? And except if we're talking about the copyright stuff that we were talking about in the past episode, right there I can see why I'm not using AI. But if I'm using the AI to create something that is like high quality, what is the problem? Why do people have a problem with this? So yeah, I think you're right. I think we need to create, so maybe that's some homework for us. Create some basic language that we can share with other medical writers about our own AI policy as writers.
I love that idea. Oh my gosh, we just gave ourselves a homework assignment on our own podcast. The
Yeah.
audience is getting a look into like what our weekly calls off camera are like, where we just
Yeah.
brainstorm ideas and go, wait, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yes, always getting more work for the both of us.
I love it. Anything else from
Mhm.
AMWA that you wanted to talk about today? It was so much fun. The best part's always seeing everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I had a really great time at AMWA. I thought it was super fun. Last year, I was exhausted at the end of it. This year, I was actually energized. Like I left AMWA energized and wanting to do things. So I think it's awesome. And I'm looking forward to going again next year.
Let's give a shout out to our fellow medical writer Heather Gorby, who was one of the conference chairs this year. And she had a co-chair who I'm blanking her name. I think it's Mary Ellen something, right? I don't know her personally, but we'll shout out to you too. They really did a great job with
Mhm.
a stellar lineup, amazing keynote speakers. It was from start to finish a really great conference.
Yes, it was. All right, friend. I'll see you on the next episode.
All right, looking forward to it. See you soon.
See you soon.